Hello traders, welcome to today's Crypto and Stocks TA live stream. Today is September 20th, 2021. It's about 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, New York time. Please keep in mind that all content in this live stream is not financial advice. It is only educational technical analysis. And I'm going to try to do half of the stream of crypto and half the stream of stocks because of the global situation going on right now. So if you have a request, please type it in the chat box as we get started. And let's go ahead and get started here. SPX. SPX. Okay, so if you've been following me or you've seen my idea or you're in my Discord group, you'll know that I've been talking about, we're looking at the S&P 500, the USA Stock Market Index, S&P 500, SPX, okay? You'll know that we've been talking about this pullback for almost 2 weeks now, okay? My idea was published, and what was generally my idea, right? Generally, my idea, in paraphrasing layman's term, is we hit this top resistance ceiling, okay? I even highlighted it in the blue up here, all right? This resistance, and we pulled back, okay? And for the past like 3-4 days, we've been talking about the support level right here, okay? On Friday and Saturday, if you watch my Saturday stream, you'll know that I called this out. We lost this trendline support. And then in my Discord group just last night, like 26 hours ago, right, I was writing that the support levels, additional support levels. Why? Because the chart looked like, plus when Dow futures were down Sunday evening in my time, give us some clues that we might see some downside today, okay? If you want to know all the particular fundamental reasons why we crashed in stocks and crypto, I mean, CNBC, Bloomberg, they're talking about it every hour right now. But basically on the technical charts, what happened is we went from a resistance up here to a support test in the S&P 500, which essentially failed, right? We had some fear, uncertainty, doubt, some FUD, global problems, right? And then we pulled back down. Also notable is we have a head and shoulder pattern right here. This is a chart pattern on the daily chart, measurable. Usually it is bearish, right? So 1.69% would bring us back down to this lower white line right here, 4381. Double that target, negative 3.2% would bring us down to 4315. All right, so we hit our support levels that we were talking about on the downside, all right here. All right, so even if you did not know anything about the news and what was happening, current events, right? Just watching a chart pattern, if you understand price patterns, right, and technical analysis, this was foreseeable. We've been talking about this for almost 2 weeks now. All right, so these downside support targets have been hit. Okay, if you want to see more information in my ideas or my Discord group. And the play-by-play basically is this morning we opened and we crashed down, essentially pulled back negative 2% on this S&P 500 pullback, and we bounced up 1.15%. Okay, so actually it looks like we're starting with S&P 500 first, but that's okay. All right, so this is an interesting candle because right now everyone's wondering, okay, well, where's the bottom? Do we bottom? Is it time to buy it? Right? What am I supposed to, like? Those are the questions traders and investors are having right now. We should remember, though, that we gap down, okay? So the gap becomes the resistance. I talked about this like a couple streams ago. It's also in my Discord group. Right, that's now the resistance, 4403. And 4427 is the resistance zone on the top side, right? Yes, this is a hammer candle on the close, but sometimes, depending on the situation, hammer candles do not always mark the bottom of the move. So let's look at some examples. What's happening right now in the market is echoing May 2021 this year, right? So we'll just check this out. So we had a pullback in May, in the beginning of May, right? And you'll see this hammer candle here. Okay. We did bounce up, but then we crashed back down. And there's another hammer candle attempt. We crashed back down, right? Bounce. And then there was another hammer candle. So just the first, hammer candle is not always the final one, if you know what I mean. Okay. The difference though is that in terms of momentum, the daily RSI is lower than May actually. Okay. But in terms of the MACD histogram, we're not seeing, there's not enough data on the daily on the daily chart to show that we have momentum building to the right side yet, right? So we kind of have to go intraday for clues. So we're going to just look at 4 hours. Okay, 4 hours, we are oversold on the RSI, right? I know there's a lot of colors on the screen, so I'll try to make it simple. Put the price in a white line chart so it really sticks out for people to see. Our short-term EMAs have down crossed. We're testing the 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart, H4. Right, that's also a hammer candle. But again, the bullish reversal momentum, it hasn't been building yet. We need a little bit more time for that. Right, the 1 hour has a death cross, okay, on the EMA, meaning it's down crossed on shorter term. And here's the clue as well, is that you'll see we hit that resistance point up here. I can't really draw it, but on September 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1, 2, 3. And then we've been downtrending for a week straight. Okay, so this is not a surprise for any shorter term intraday traders, is that we know the S&P 500 has been downtrending this whole time. And we finally kind of got that, the big flush down and the recovery bounce. All right. So 15-minute, it was pretty severely oversold throughout half of this day. And then we had some recovery bounce at the end. 1% is nice. Right? Very nice. So, but this is the shorter term time frames, right? This usually happens on these shorter term time frames. 5-minute 2, we're downtrending this whole time in the 6:30, 9:30, I should say, up until about 3 Eastern time, right? And then we had this nice little bounce up, right? And there's a lot of news coming out in between this. But what it looks like is, okay, yes, we did get this intraday short-term bounce, right? The same thing happened with Bitcoin too. You had a big red flush down and then a big bounce to end the session. But what we have to watch out for is not everybody in the whole world is going to be aware of what happened today unless you're in the market. Okay, because some people are going to wake up tomorrow, basically, in the next session or 2 days, right? In terms of people turning on the news or looking at their stock portfolio or their trading account and realizing something bad has happened in the market, right? Because CNBC is flashing these headlines, right? Big red all over CNBC and Bloomberg all day for 24 hours straight, probably, right? We have to realize the psychology of people is not everybody knows what happened today. So what I want to caution people is just because you get like an oversold or you see like one hammer candle does not always mean it's the bottom, right? Short term, okay, if we're looking at like a 1 minute or 5 minute chart, if somebody's like a scalper or day trader, okay, yes, you can make that case. But if you start zooming out on these time frames, okay, like a H4 or a daily, it doesn't look like it's complete yet, right? 4-hour H4, yes, we did test the 200 EMA and we bounced off today, okay? But if we keep seeing upward momentum tomorrow, then great, right? It depends on how aggressive or conservative a trader investor is right now. All right, so let me finish this up with bullish and bearish scenarios, okay? I'm going to have to use the intraday chart. I'll just use the 1-hour chart, H1, because that's kind of a middle ground for everybody. All right, so we just have to remember on the S&P 500, okay? So for the sake of this final example, I'm just going to erase everything. All right, so we just need to know we have this gap resistance on the top here. That's probably the most important thing. And then we have our immediate support at 4,300 down here in the yellow line. Okay, so in a bullish scenario, all right, if we start to get bullish momentum and bounce up tomorrow for the whole day, which would be nice, right? Where are the upside targets, the topside targets for S&P 500 stock market? First target, 4375 resistance. Okay, I'm going to change this to white. 4375. Then if we start to pierce the yellow box resistance gap fill, 4397, 4408, top of the gap, 4427, 4437, 4456, right? It's probably not going to go straight up like that tomorrow, right? We might even see some pullback on the shorter term time frames. We need to really watch for a potential trend change on these shorter term time frames, right? We just because if you just come down, this is downtrending, right? We have one up like that. That's not telling the whole story. If we're going to uptrend reverse, right, because it's been downtrending, this applies for Bitcoin too, which we'll get to right after this. It's been downtrending this whole time. Then you get one bounce up like that, right? And that's just basically a short-term short squeeze and longs trying to get in on the action at the end, right? If it needs to trend change, what needs to happen? We need to set the higher low in the price, retest it, set another higher low, and do this in the price. So this picture in the blue is going to be the big question. Where and when will that happen? In stocks and in crypto. Okay. That is the big key that people need to be thinking about if you're a technical analyst, chart trader, investor, is just because you see this green again does not mean this downtrend is over, because what could happen is you could even pop up a little more but then continue the downtrend like that in a bearish scenario, right? So the two key levels you have to really think about probably is today's session low, so 4,300 in the blue highlighter, right? And then the session high open, 4383. So now you just box the price in and then you watch for the trend. Which way is it going to go? Is it going to uptrend reversal, or is it going to get rejected from the top resistance and start downtrending again? That's the key with stocks. Okay, but just remember the Evergrande, the Chinese Evergrande company, which we've been talking about, traders knew this for like a week. It's been on the news for a week, right? It's just today, it probably people talked about it over the weekend, right? And then the selling started in China yesterday, which their Monday was yesterday, which spilled over into the European session, and it spilled over into the USA North America session. All right. So we have to remember the fundamentals of stocks. Stocks are not all about technical charts. It's about the fundamentals and the news and the psychology, the emotions of people, right? So the fact is that Evergrande or Evergrande, however you say it, right? They have to pay their interest debt on Wednesday or Thursday of this week. So just 2 or 3 days, and will they default on their debt? We're going to find out, right? But basically, in the next couple days, this Chinese real estate and American, housing and debt issue, the Chinese Evergrande debt issue is not over in one day. You know what I mean? That's still an ongoing event. So probably this whole week, we're seeing that's going to be a factor. China Evergrande company, right? The South Korea crypto exchanges for Bitcoin is an issue. The smaller exchanges are getting shut down. We have Delta COVID, right? We have vaccine status. We have, vaccine travel restrictions have changed today in the U.S. a little bit, right? For foreigners, if they got double vaccinated, right? So that was news headline today. Some of this stuff is in my Discord. Let me just bring it up for a second. Right? And so this week we have housing data, home sales data. We have a big FOMC meeting and rate decision in the next 2 days for stocks. All of this affects global markets to some degree, right? Because a lot of people in the past have been wondering, like, why do I pay attention to China or South Korea? Why does it matter? Today is a prime example of why it matters in the stock market. And for China, how it affects crypto is a lot of mining companies were a Chinese company, like in China. So if you look at the China crash of crypto, in May and June is because of the minor and trading bans in China. So China, you know, is very interconnected with other global economies. Okay, so it's not like the US or it's not like Europe and Asia are all separated. They're all connected, very, very deeply connected. And if you just, want a prime example, is just think about everything you own in your house, right? How much of it is made in where, right? What country is it all made of? In what countries does it come from, right? So the supply chain is very, very, very deeply interconnected. Okay. So, okay. Yeah. So the first thing though is I know I'm saying a lot of information, okay? But this is not about fear. We don't need to be afraid. We do not need to be afraid. We do not need to be scared of anything, right? It's because this happens before. This happened before on the technical charts, right? So an experienced trader, investor is like not surprised this happened, right? That's why we do charts. We prepare for this kind of situation. All right. So to finish this up, and I'm spending a lot of time on this because it's global. It's not just America. It's basically every single global index and stock basically pulled down in the past like 24 hours. So finishing up S&P 500 chart, okay? Again, it's about the trend change intraday. We're in a downtrend. Did we hit a relative short-term bottom? Yes, we did. The question now is bull follow-through, meaning are bulls going to take this momentum tomorrow in the next 3 days or 4 days left? Are bulls going to change this momentum to the upside is the question, right? So that's scenario one, bull reversal to retest the gap fill resistance above. Okay. We could also consolidate while people are waiting, traders and investors are waiting for the China Evergrande outcome. Will they default on their debt? Will the Chinese government bail out the real estate company? Right? We're going to find out this week, right? Or bearish case scenario, we just pop up really fast intraday and then start fading down. Bears maintaining full control. So bears are kind of already in control right now. We need to realize that. Bulls are not in control right now. All right, so hopefully I made this very clear for people. Okay. Maybe the last thing I'll do is visually put some support targets up. Okay, because the resistance targets are pretty obvious up here, right? But if we start crashing down even more the next couple days, all right, so we got a support 4316. There's actually not much right in between here. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay. Go down a little bit more, probably on a daily, right? Yeah. 4256, 4165, 41,000, and then 4,000 down here. But we might not reach 4,000. But this on the daily chart, it's being the 100 EMA is being tested right now, the orange line, right? So that's where we bounced, right? So we bounce up. We might even bounce up to the yellow EMA, the 50, right? 4423. But it's still technically a downtrend. Even on the daily chart, you have to realize that, right? It's angling down. So yes, we might bounce up, but then in this black space over here are we going to continue? Are we going to reverse though and go up like that? If not, it's going to bounce up and continue down, right? So those are the two bearish and bullish scenarios. Okay, I spent a lot of time on S&P 500. Let's go to Bitcoin. Bitcoin. Okay, BTC, USDT, 1-day Binance chart. All right, how did I know we were going to probably come down yesterday? All right. Even on the daily chart, okay? First off, it's because I have experience in the markets, okay? And I was telling people on stream a couple days ago that this particular price action in the blue looks very, very similar to this right here in May. So again, stocks and crypto mirroring the May price action that's been happening. Right? Because what's the psychology here? We hit an all-time high, right? Like this part. We went up, okay? Crashed down, reverse up, find a resistance point, and that's a lower high, and then retest the support right here, fail, okay? And then come down. And the candles at this point looked exactly the same as these 5 candles right here, if you think about it, right? So then the same logic applies, right? We had a up, we went up here. We had the flash crash, so that's our lower low. Okay, we bounced up just like we thought we would. Then we hit a resistance point, and this is the key. On a daily chart, this takes experience and knowledge, right? When you're consolidating like that, 4 days in a row, and on Sunday, I saw this pull back down, right? The hesitation right there, the sideways hesitation in the market. Also, if you look very, very carefully, it's a double top on the daily. That's how I knew. You have to be very sensitive to these charts. For a daily chart, you have to be very sensitive, right? So that's why I knew, okay, we're probably going to come down. And we pull back way down, right? We test it. So what's the logic here? What are we thinking about in the charts? Lower low, lower high. So I said in my idea update last night is that any close below here, 44,000 even, is going to start our downtrend. Okay, it's going to confirm our downtrend, I should say, confirm, right? Because it's lower low, lower high. And then where's the most likely scenario? If we stopped here, we might have had a chance to get saved, right? But no, that didn't happen. Lower high, pull back down. We lost all the supports, right? Then we're going to test this level 42,000 as our new final line in the sand for now, right? If we end up closing below 44,000, it's going to confirm that downtrend. I mean, it's already confirmed right now, but the candle's not going to close for 3 hours, like 2 to 3 hours, basically. So I can't 100% call that right now. This might crash more, or this might come up more. Like we have to see in a couple hours the daily candle close. But this already looks like downtrend, basically 90-80% confirmed, right? So you have to be aware of those changes, the flip in the market, right? And again, the price history of just last May was the big clue that something like this might happen. And again, it's testing that bottom support level. So what happens, realistically, if we lose this, we're going down 40,000. Why 40,000? Because that's our 200 EMA support level right here, right? We are definitely going to test 40,000, 41,000, right? If you look at Bitcoin futures, okay, right? It's actually lower on Bitcoin futures. This is very critical. It's 39,000 on futures chart, okay? So somewhere, that's why I'm averaging 40,000 as being that low. Now we go back to Binance chart, okay? On the Binance chart, it's 41,767, right? But I'm going to average it out to a whole number. It's probably going to pierce down to 40,000 if we do end up piercing the downside over time. I'm not saying it's going to happen in one day, but if this really follows through to the downside and we don't get some bull buyers at the bottom, right? This literally looks like it's going to do this and test this bottom spot here. So we have to get our targets all set up, okay? This is how you have less FOMO and fear in the market, all right? I've been telling people for several days in streams now to look down at the support levels, to watch it on the downside, right? Because the problem with trading investing is when there's a lot of red, and this happens to a lot of people, okay? I'm not pointing anybody out in particular. It's just when there's a lot of red, if people have losses, they're not going to look anymore, right? When there's pain in the market, people are just done with the market, right? They're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I lost money, or I don't want to do it anymore. But the problem is from my experience, you have to keep watching. You have to stay, engaged with the chart, okay? Because once you look away and you're like, I don't care about this anymore, right? The bottom will be set. Trust me, it happens over time, right? So where are our Fibonacci levels? All right, 50% retrace 41374. I'm going to put a yellow, our 618 retrace 38685. If it even goes down over time, 786 or a 0.88, right? Those are all levels to play off of. Our resistance above 47239. All right, now we just got some support levels on the downside. So now this looks kind of funny. It's the log chart. Let me do that one more time. Now you know generally where we could go, right? Because on a weekly chart, all of this right here is fair game in terms of support. All of this in the blue box. Like we could even come down to like even 32,000 and barely maintain above the weekly attempt to make a higher low is what I'm saying. But the chances of that are much less. Right. Also on the daily, is this turn into a head and shoulders? Right. You have to start thinking about this kind of stuff. Analyze it until you find everything. Right. If this is true, okay. If this is true, if this is a head and shoulders on Bitcoin, right, that would be a negative 17% to the downside correction to the downside. Okay. 37,306. Let me put that in blue. That would be our target. Right. Our first target. If it goes double the target, which sometimes Bitcoin goes crazy and goes down like that, then it'd be 30,000 basically, right? So you have to kind of wonder, okay, is this pattern real or not, right? So just watch out for it. Just mentally kind of in the back of your mind, prepare yourself for that. Where you're like, okay, in a worst case scenario for now, like we'll crash down to 40,000, 37,000, or 30,000, which is our big line, support line in the sand, so to speak, on the chart. That line, right? Our 40,000 is our next psychological downside target. Okay, so now we've been talking about bearish targets, right? Now let's flip the scenario and prepare ourselves for what if the recovery starts sooner than expected? What if the Chinese government bails out Evergrande corporation, right? And everything's fine, right? What if that happens? What if Federal Reserve this week meeting says we're not raising, we're not going to start tapering right now, or we're not raising inflation rates for like X amount of months, right? Then what will happen? Okay, so for crypto, you have to kind of prepare for that because crypto, anything can happen. So bullish scenario. Let's say we do pull back and bounce off one of these EMAs right down here. So we look for the inside day, just like I was saying on S&P 500, okay? We're on an H1 chart right now. So if we think about trend, okay, this is our big trend, right? Low, high, low. But it's consolidating right now. We have a bear flag going on right now forming. When's the last time we had a bear flag? Right here. The initial September 7th flash crash. Right? So it's the same thing. Also, just to clear up my last stream, okay? Right? I was saying we might bounce up from this level, and that's exactly what happened on the intraday. Okay? And this is our level in the sand right here. So you can see on the intraday, also from the past weekend, right? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's been fading down. This is not a surprise to anybody who's really tracking the price carefully, right? Fading down. Then what happened? You lost the support. Then bears, that's going to trigger the bears in all global bears right now, right? Institutions, traders, algorithms to short this. Also, it was a long squeeze, meaning that too many people in the market were long. If you read the article that came out today, right, something like X amount of $1 billion got lost today because there are a lot of people long Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of the altcoins like Solana, Dogecoin, right? And then they got liquidated, meaning they lost their money in the position. So this is all like stop losses being triggered and people panic selling globally, right? So now we're here. So we should note that we have a previous candle wick at 42843 on this side. All right. And then we could draw, it's not, we need a little bit more information here, a little bit more time to see how this really plays out, but it is basically bear flagging. I'm going to extend that out for a next stream. Chopping around right here. Still, bears are still in control. I hope people realize that on the short-term charts, right? This is downside bearish momentum. If we were in an uptrend, it would have looked like that. Then bulls are in control. Bulls are not in control right now. Bears are in control, at least for today. So the two scenarios, again, that could happen right here is like if we have a reference point of the flash crash right here in the white, right? We did crash. We could see a bounce and then maybe some additional shorting down, right? So just mentally prepare yourself for that, right? What if the same thing happens again, just a week apart? we bounce up again, but then fade back down, right? Because algos are going to buy, not algorithm, but like robots are going to buy, traders are going to buy, and then they say, oh wait, never mind, and then short down, right? We can also consolidate inside the bear flag sideways. That's another scenario that could happen, right? We could try to bounce but get rejected, right? There's a couple scenarios that can play out. That's why we just set our resistance and support levels and then really track this price trend with as much time as free time as you have, right? So a resistance, immediate resistance, 44,000 basically. Immediate support, I'm gonna call it a little lower, like 43359, right? So I know there's a lot of lines here, so let me just delete it. Right, we're basically playing between this blue line and this blue line right here. But even the intraday, even if we zoom into like a 15-minute, it's like we tried to double bottom a couple hours ago, but not enough power, right? So again, it's the psychology and mentality part of people are going to wake up. And what do you think? What do you think that is the most likely scenario for people to do for newer traders and investors? If they wake up and see a bunch of red, they will probably not buy, right? The chances are less that they're going to all of a sudden be like, oh, I need to buy right now. They're going to panic sell most likely, right? So until we see a confirmed trend change, right? All I could call this for tonight is we are bear flagging. Bears are in control, right? So I would really watch for 44,000 and 43,000 to see if we're going to break that to the upside, or we're going to consolidate further, or we're going to break down and reject down to 40,000 and test that, okay? So the next like 1 to 2, 3 days are going to be critical for Bitcoin. Oh, my live chat is not, let me check the live chat. Just lost my live chat. Just want to make sure no one's asking a question. I'm missing it. Okay, it doesn't look like there's any requests. Okay, so again, bullish scenario, all right? 2% is the target, 45,000. Bearish scenario, 42,000 is the short-term target. I know there's a lot of lines, but I'm drawing the blue in particular. And again, this trend line is very steep. You can draw additional trend lines. Okay, let me change the color so people are not confused. Change that to gray. Then that's easier to see, right? So then you could see there's a bunch of lines we can draw, but if we pretty conservative with our lines, there's kind of this, that would make sense, downward sloping channel, right? So you could see you could pull down more, right? Yes, we hit that first oversold, right? We hit that first oversold. 5 minutes kind of choppy, technically in a sideways consolidation for the next 5 minutes, but you know, everything will change like 15 minutes to 1 hour from now. We did double top on the 15-minute. Although the thing that's catching my eye is the 1 hour chart, the H1, because it is oversold, but you know, that first oversold is not the bottom sometimes, right? Because right here, what happened was you had a bounce and then a fake out short down for the second oversold, right? So I would be a little bit careful right now. Okay, are we going to get an exact repeat of this right here? We be wary of that, right? And so you'll know when we'll get the bounces using just 1 week price history, right? We were angling down for like 5 days straight, and then you had the break right here. So I'm presuming something like that's probably going to happen again, right? Where you have a consolidation, it might go up and down like that, and then you're going to get a break in either direction, up or down, and that'll be a bigger clue, right? But again, what happened last time is, remember, we flash crashed to -10, -20% double digits, and certain altcoins recovered much faster than Bitcoin did. Okay, some altcoins went like that, like Solana or Algo or Atom or HBAR, right? So if you're a crypto trader, again, I would just watch for, is anything gonna go crazy, pop up basically? What's gonna have momentum, and what are the day traders gonna jump on, right? But I would be more careful now. It's because the S&P 500, the stock market, is actually crashing at the same time. So you could get some like double downward selling pressure. So I would be double cautious right now. Okay, and this is not financial advice. This is just educational example. Okay, somebody has a question. All right, if you want me to look at a chart, please go ahead and type the exact ticker name on TradingView, and we'll look at it, and maybe the time frame you're also looking at. While I'm waiting for that, we'll take a quick look at total. Okay, this is probably the two most important charts we have to look at: S&P and Bitcoin. Right, total crypto market cap. Right, this is the entire crypto market cap combined, Bitcoin altcoins in dollar value. Okay, so the first guy who's asking for currencies, you have to type the exact ticker like the people below you, okay? So if you want me to look at it, I'll look at it, but you have to type it in. All right, so look at total, OMG, and ADA. We just have to realize too, just really quick on total, all right? We hit that lower high and we're pulling back down. Now the question is, where will the lower low stop? Where will this part stop, right? So to speak, like where exactly in there? So that's up to the market to decide, the bulls versus the bears, right? And again, please keep in mind that Bitcoin is not the only asset in the world. It's connected to the stock market and NASDAQ and global markets because there's global crypto traders everywhere. Okay. All right, let's go on to OMG. All right, I'm going to use the USDT charts just because people are more global, right? And then there's a little more data, but similar chart, you know what I mean? OMG, USDT, 1 day, Binance. All right, so you want the 30-minute. Okay, just really quick though, let's set our resistance and support levels. Resistance at 1134, support at 777, right? Just because that big candle wick for today. And we can draw a little bit of a trend line, right? To box it in first before we go on the inside day. Okay, so the immediate support is basically the top of this trend line. We look left for some price history. Yep, there is a price cluster, I like to call it, right here. So immediate support is right below this. 1050, $10. Then 950, $9. So that's where you're looking at right now. Resistance above, like 11, 12, 13, probably whole numbers. All right, so then you just move in. Yes, the daily's in an uptrend, yes, but then 4 hour, okay. We had this bounce. This is what I'm talking about. Altcoins, right? So OMG is one of these altcoins that bounce back faster than Bitcoin. Do you know what I mean? It crashed down today, overnight, right? But bounced back. All right. So looking at H4. Okay. Just getting a read here on some of this. H4, 1H, H1. Okay, we'll start on the H1 and go 30-minute and then 15-minute, and that's it for this one. So again, we had the flush down and we got oversold. So that means 5-minute, 15-minute traders bought this bounce, and then algos, everybody pumped it up. Rallied, I should say. Right? So the immediate resistance right now is $11.12. $11.12. Immediate support, $10. Crash support, I'm going to call it $8. Like that. Please keep in mind though that yes, we do have a golden cross up. You might see another bounce one more time, but it is kind of losing momentum on this H1 chart. H1 chart. Now we're on the 30 minutes chart. Okay, so you can see it's riding this wave, right? We have to go even more intraday. That it is possible. Okay, presuming if this does not crash, if Bitcoin doesn't crash, OMG might bounce. Okay, very, very short term. Okay, not for like 5 days straight, but maybe. right? 5 minute, it is building a little bit of momentum. So it matters if the day traders are going to come in and buy this one and say pump it to and rally it to maybe 12 possibly, right? Because you are seeing a little bit of uh, bullish momentum right here. Okay. So that's what I watch out for, right? But at the same time, just keep in mind, yes, it's up cross right now, 15 minute and 5 minute. It's just a matter of will we see continuation? At some point, though, it should top out. OMG is probably not going to go forever, right? So just think about the scenario. Okay, if this is inversely correlated with Bitcoin, is that it could pump up and pop up, rally for a little bit, but if Bitcoin continues to crash for like 5 days straight in bear scenario, that OMG is probably not going to keep going up. You know what I mean? So just keep that scenario in like maybe the back of your mind. But in very, very short term, okay, you could see continuation, but again, nothing's too oversold again, right? So just because you had the initial crash right here, right, does not necessarily mean this is the perfect spot for somebody to go long, right? This part of the crash was the better spot to go long if somebody's looking for best value, right? And then they took their profit here. So what I'm saying is the question is right here, is this going to be a bounce like that? Because on the longer term charts, it looks like it's consolidating and wants to pull back a little bit. But on the inside day, you might see just one more pop on this thing in terms of the next like 12 or 24 hours. Again, this is not financial advice, just educational. All right, next, ADA. ADA. Wow. Let me use a different chart because that's so messy. Yeah, KuCoin's similar enough. Okay. So ADA on the 1 day chart. You know, we were talking about this relative high here at $3 as the resistance for Cardano, all-time high. So all-time high does matter on Cardano, and we just marked that spot on the charts. $3, all-time high. And then if you want to get your inside Fibonacci's, just so we can make it real easy, right? You just do that. Now you have some support levels on the downside. So what are we testing? The 50%, right? But keep in mind that Cardano is in a daily downtrend, right? Lower low like that. Okay, so what the question is where is the lower low on all these cryptos going to be? Bitcoin and anything that's fading down right now, where's the lower low? Question mark, right? Probably you're going to need to see like a climax bottom like this with volume, right? This is not climax volume to me. This is 1 day of bear selling, right? You need to see huge red volume. That might give you a clue that you might hit bottom. But, you know, 1 day is not the, final of any crypto. It's just we're in the daily downtrend, okay? So we could test $2 even. We could test $1.65. You could test $1.80. Those are all targets in there, right? So I'm going to erase this because it looks crazy. All right, now we go a little bit inside just to check if anything's going on inside here, right? So 4 hours, we're still downtrending. 1 hour, we're still downtrending, right? Yes, we did hit an oversold level, and intraday, maybe this will bounce, right? So you want to watch for this, right? We do have this upper trend line here, resistance, so that could be a target. We also have the support. I'm just going to mark it in a small yellow line like that. So maybe, right? We've seen this setup play out before. Is you kind of consolidate to the side, right? These are kind of strange trend lines, but you can see if it's going to be a bullish scenario at best, right? You might bounce up 6% to 228 to test this upper target. If this happens, right, that could be a scenario, right? This just needs 5 minute, 15-minute momentum to keep the uptrend intact. Let's go that way. But if it doesn't, it could reject down to the bottom support, back down to $2, right? Also could bounce out and reject down and then go like that. So we've seen that happen just a week ago, 2 weeks ago on a lot of altcoins. So I would just watch the immediate support of 220 and the immediate support of $2 if you're like a medium-term trader just for support and resistance levels. If you're a long-term like investor though, right, those small intraday price movements are not as important as the daily downtrend and the $3 resistance, right? So that's something you want to watch out for. Again, Cardano is tracking Bitcoin, so it's more correlated. OMG is less correlated, so it's showing strength in this market, and we should just run down the list really fast before we end. Okay, we have gold requests. So we do XAU USD. All right, XAU USD. Let me use a different chart. XAU USD, and let me know what time frame you're looking at, or I'll just do the daily, long term one. So we have our trend line like this on the top, right? Our resistance and our support line, trend line on the bottom, right? Interesting to see that even in this volatility in this market right now, we didn't see, huge pump up or rally in gold, right? In either director, your 15-minute, okay, so your intraday, right? So it's very interesting. I think the market right now is just kind of hesitating on the gold and silver side, gold side at least, to see what China's going to do, right? What is this government going to do? Chinese government. What is U.S. government going to do as well, right? So we just know our resistance is 1836, support 1754, support 1727, and support 1684. Then what is the daily trend? It's kind of tricky, but it's trying to establish a higher low, right? It was downtrend on this side. This is the inflection point, pivot point, trying to establish this. But it's mixed right now because you have a head and shoulders pattern right here on the daily, which matters, right? So that downside target was basically hit, okay? Just in case gold goes bearish, the secondary target is 1709 down here, just to keep it in the back of our mind, okay? But if this turns out to be a reversal, right, then we're probably going to target longer term 1836, depending on what happens in the market. The immediate short-term target is 1787, like that. So, gold looking like it might go plus or minus 2%. Okay, then we switch to get to your time frame. You hit that short oversold on the H4 chart. Interesting that we're seeing some of this momentum, but it's kind of tepid, right? Meaning that it's not like COVID-19 crash, pandemic crash, where gold was, wild volatility swings. It's not happening yet. So not everybody's running away into gold, if you know what I mean, right? People are selling to cash though, but they're not everybody's buying gold. So that's something, a key correlation to watch out for. All right, so this still looks like 15-minute downtrend though, like this, right? If you just do a little bit longer term, like a H1, H4 chart, it's just a very short term 1 minute, 5 minute bounce. So the immediate resistance 1768, immediate support 1742, you're playing between these two levels like that. Okay, so you could actually measure this. It's 1%. If you get the bull break on intraday time frame, shorter term time frames, it's probably going to go up 1% at least, which would be 1787. Okay, first bull target. If it pulls back down to the middle heart line, that's obviously 0.5%. 1% down will bring you down to the bottom support level. And if you get a bear break down, it'll bring us down to this 1725 target. All right, so it's basically consolidating right now is what I could tell you on the 15-minute, right? Literally going sideways. You could draw a parallel channel if you need the visual of the middle half line. Okay, so just watch for that. If it's going to break bull, it needs to do this intraday. Okay, if it's not, it's going to pull back down. Okay, so that's gold. Okay, next, ICP USDT. Okay, it's a Binance altcoin. All right, so the first thing I need to say about this one is there's, first off, not that much data. It's a relatively newer altcoin on this Binance exchange on the day chart. Okay, and this is strongly correlated with Bitcoin. Why? Because you can already see the price action. We had the Bitcoin flush down in May and June, which was down. Okay, then it bottomed out here. Okay, rallied up. This actually showed a topping signal 1 day before the flash crash down. This altcoin did not recover and is making lower lows. It's in a daily downtrend right now. So because of the nature of this coin, okay, and the IPO price or the coin listing price. We'll just do resistance from here. Resistance at 80 US dollars. Resistance is 60. Support at 40. Support at 30. Okay. But you have to realize that it's in a longer term potential daily downtrend, right? Short term daily downtrend, but the long term is if this breaks and loses $30, then it's in a confirmed daily downtrend. But right now it's half or less than half daily uptrend, right? Because if Bitcoin, bullish case scenario, Bitcoin needs to survive, establish its definite low, and then try to bounce up, right? If that happens, if Bitcoin rises, most likely many altcoins will follow along with it. If Bitcoin falls, most likely, 80% or so of the altcoins will crash down, right? So if you're going to analyze ICP, I would highly recommend to always watch Bitcoin because they're so tightly correlated. Okay, does anybody have any more requests? Any stock or crypto? I'm surprised there's not as many stock people in here, but crypto is global, so that makes more sense. All right. So if no one has immediate requests, let's just check really fast. Go down I'm going to use my Binance watch list. And before we get to the next request, let's just see, did anything bounce up significantly so we could actually kind of talk about it, right? Because Bitcoin, we'll just run down the list. Like Bitcoin flushed down, right? And it's at holding above 43,500. Maker also flushed down. I'm going down real fast. Ethereum flushed down. Bitcoin Cash down. Binance, same. Comp, Litecoin, Dash, Zcash. EGLD especially pulled back. All right, so EGLD is the trend line is down here. It's trying to test that. It just tested that trend line support today. Okay, so that's something you want to watch out for on those types of coins. Zen. Sol with a little bit of a bounce. Interesting. Link. Cosmos taking a lot of the pain, but it's because it was at basically all-time high. HNT with a little bit of bounce. But see, all these altcoins are very correlated. So OMG is the only one actually from the list. On my USA list, at least. I'm just looking right now. ICX with an interesting bounce. 50%, 1.5. Right, so we're getting clues here. H-bar again, nice bounce. One suspicious bounce. But you can see here, Raven and VeChain Thor are in clear daily downtrends, right? So it's just a matter of where's it gonna bottom out. Oh, I mean, I could still do Sol. I'm just looking really fast, right? Because some of these are following into some interesting price zones. Let's go to Sol for a second. Sol, okay. Yeah, but if you think about it though, OMG is the one that looks green visually, but we just saw ICX bounced up 15%, H-bar bounced up 10%. So there's a couple in there, right, that I would probably, even one Harmony coin bounced up 10%. So I would watch those four, right, on the intraday to see if the day traders in the next 3 days are going to bounce up on, are going to jump on those. Okay, so Sol, really quick, we have to know, we had the all-time high of like 200 US dollars, right? 200 US dollars. But we have to realize that Sol has been kind of overextended since August, right? Basically went 10x almost. 900, 800, almost 10x, 8, 9x. So it is in the daily downtrend though. Okay, so we rejected down from resistance, attempted lower high, and now we're scouting the lower low. Okay, there's not that many strong support points. There's one here, 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 and here. So 140, 111, 96, and 75 are the big support levels on the daily chart. and the media support like 137 right now, but it did bounce up above from it. And then if you draw the trend line, now we have bigger trend lines. There's this trend line down here. It's kind of a big drop, but we just bounced off this. And so if we go on intraday, it's still downtrending. So downtrending, but it touched that trend line support. So I was saying like 2 weeks ago, it's probably going to consolidate that way. And that's exactly what happened. Even without the Bitcoin crash, there's a high chance of consolidation. So we hit that oversold. There's a little bit of bull momentum, but sold might bounce. But if there's something better out there, like an OMG or ICX or H bar on the intraday, people might jump on those instead of sold, because you could think about it psychologically, like, oh, Solana's kind of played out at this point in terms of overextended, right? So, but it might bounce because it's right at that trend line support. So I'm not discounting that. If it does bounce, if it breaks bull, 7% up, 156 is that midterm, short-term target. If it happens to break bear and we lose it, 7% to downside, 124. Okay, it's just, if you look at intraday chart, it looks really nice, but if you kind of zoom out, though, we realize that we're pretty high up here. It's floating up pretty high in the price zone. And throwing up quick Fibonacci's levels. Yeah, $100, 90, 80 would be kind of that bigger retrace target. Because if you lose 135, just this yellow trend line right here, then Solana could be in for a larger drop. ONT. Okay, ONT. So ONT. And just quick side note is, remember that what happened with the China miners and the traders, right? And even with South Korea crypto exchanges this week, like the smaller ones are getting shut down. That's has an effect on the market, right? So ONT. Let's check this out. All right. So we have big resistance at 272. Immediate resistance 135. Support to downside 78 cents and 55 cents, and then 30 cents down here. If we're really honest with ourselves, though, is it's pulling back on the daily chart. Excuse me, just like Bitcoin, right? So a very short-term Fibonacci is, yeah, something you want to watch out for is like, how deep is the retracement going to actually go before traders and investors say, you know what, that's a pretty good price. It's getting interestingly close, but again, if Bitcoin keeps crashing, these altcoins, they can't really take that kind of downside pressure. At some point, it'll bottom out, right? But again, in terms of now we're incorporating volume, because on September 7th, let's see, where's September 7th? Right, you see the big red stick right here. It's like the only thing right there, right? So we haven't had that type of super fear capitulation yet. Although one could make the case like, okay, well, if people are going to panic sell, they probably panic sold up here. So we might not get a huge selling climax. So remains to be seen. Again, Bitcoin is still the top crypto, right? It is getting to a very suspicious Fibonacci zone. You have to go intraday for this one and play the levels. Because 4 hour, you see this pattern, right? Broke bear. If you actually measure this like conservative, 6%, 9%. So the average there is like 14% to the downside, right? 10 to 14%, which you hit the target. Okay, so a little bit more than that, we actually hit the target. If it's the full pattern from bottom to top, it's like negative 18. Yeah, we combined that. Okay, super bad case scenario, we would go double that to 61 cents, but the whole market has to crash for that to happen. So it's an interesting Fibonacci zone right now. Again, the H1 is looking suspicious, right? Because if this holds, if Bitcoin stops crashing a lot, right, this might hold and be the first start of an early trend change possible, right? But you have to really break through the trend line and hold. It's looking like that right now. So again, for me, or it depends on how people are, right? If you're an intraday trader, you're like looking for some kind of entry. If you're a long-term investor, you're looking like, well, where are we going to bottom out? If you're midterm, right, you want to see a little bit more price action first before you make a decision, probably. So it just depends on what type of style you are, aggressive or conservative, trader versus investor, short term versus long term. But again, you know, what I'm thinking about beyond the charts is I'm wondering who else doesn't know about what's happening today. You know what I mean? The crash in crypto, the crash in stocks. Not every single person on earth knows. So that's what I'm anticipating. There might be a little bit more volatility coming through the markets. So I'll just be aware of that. But bullish and bear targets, and then we'll move on. Okay, short term bull target is if we actually draw trend lines. Right, there's a 4% move. So if it breaks out from here, 4% up would be 90 cents for short-term bull target. If we break down from the bottom of support, 4% to downside would be 80 cents. So 85 is your average point. That's exactly where we are right now. Right? Is this a double bottom? Possibly. All right. So if somebody's a crypto trader, I mean, probably have to watch that price very carefully. Because the H1 is looking very suspicious. But again, I've seen, and I know I keep saying but again, it's because I've seen so many times where this setup looks like it's going to go, but Bitcoin could crash, right? You really, really want to be watching the sensitive price right here. Maybe set some alerts. You know, if you have to go to sleep or something, depending on your time zone. So that's ONT. Sometimes too, what happens is, you know, depending on what time zone you're in, the bullish or bearish short-term trend happens while I'm sleeping sometimes. I'm in the USA, so sometimes, you know, when I'm sleeping, I can't see exactly what's happening. I have to wake up and see what happens. That's why I'm saying some people are going to wake up soon in Asia in a couple hours and then realize what's happening. Or they'll see their continuation like, we went down. Okay, and then they're going to do one of three things: buy, sell, or hold. So I'm kind of waiting for a secondary reaction here in the next 46 hours, 4, 6, 8 hours. Great. Before we keep going, we hit the 1 hour mark. So I just want to say thanks for watching and joining, everybody. We're live on TradingView, YouTube, and Twitch right now. So if you learned something or you enjoyed this live stream and it helped you in some way, educational, please give me a follow on those websites. We also have a Discord group. Invite link is in my profile. And just last night, I was updating my ideas about S&P 500, NASDAQ, Dow Jones to watch for the support levels to the downside, right? I put a weekly free watch list in there about what I believe is the important data. So, you know, the China Evergrande traders, we knew about this for a week because if you're watching the news, it's on there. It was on there once a day on Bloomberg for a week. We have some news in USA. We have a lot of housing data coming out this week. We have FOMC Federal Reserve meeting in 1 or 2 days. So the stock market is going to continue to see a little bit of volatility. We have some stock earnings this week for some smaller companies. Even on Bitcoin and altcoins, just last night, 24 hours ago, I was saying, watch the support levels, because when I looked at it last night, I'm like, this is looking like we might get a bear break to the downside. And then 24 hours later, this happens, right? So we called this even potentially 3 days ago. 3 days ago, I was saying it's going to go one of two ways, right? This or this, right? But then just yesterday, I said, okay, we have some hesitation consolidation. If we lose this support 47,000, we're probably going to hit downside. And that's exactly what happened. So, in conclusion, unless anybody has any more requests, let's not have any fear in the markets, okay? It depends on how aggressive or conservative somebody is right now. But the quote of the week right now, like in the Discord, the quote of the week is from Warren Buffett, the famous USA investor, who in his book, I'm quoting, Warren Buffett said, rule number 1 is never lose money. Rule number 2 is never forget rule number 1. That's the first 2 pages of his trading quote, investing quote book. So how do we apply that to markets right now is, there's the concept of risk management, right? Stop losses, trailing stop losses, limit sell orders, alerts, right? Scaling in and out of positions. Those are all, risk management tools that are at our disposal on TradingView and your exchange, right? So the big question is the sell-off done? Yes or no? Because we know the Evergrande situation is not done. That's kind of still we're in the middle of that. FOMC meeting's not done. And it doesn't feel like, yes, this is really, really, really bad flush down. But it could just be me though. But, I kind of want to see like stronger selling to the point where people start getting massive fear and panic. Then that might be some kind of relative bottom. But it doesn't always have to be like that. Doesn't always have to be like that. So to wrap things up on Bitcoin, we'll just watch these support levels and see if it's going to hold this $43,000 Bitcoin range down here I'm drawing in a box. I would be surprised, okay, if this is the lower low, then somewhere in the 40,000 range, right? Then we might see a lower high eventually in 1 or 2 weeks. Until then, altcoins, whichever the 4 I mentioned, like OMG, ICX. What was the other one? Let me look down the list. I don't want to give wrong information. I think it was H bar. Yeah, see, look at this. ICX bounce. 50% already. So if the 5 minute, that's like definitely uptrending in 5 minute. Right. So that's been happening all day today. Very interesting. I was doing stocks today. Okay, so this uptrend, let's see if this keeps going or not. But there's basically 3 or 4 altcoins that are bouncing right now. Just want to watch out though. Because as a trader, sometimes there's a fake out, right? Sometimes it goes up, and then if Bitcoin starts crashing again and we lose the correlation, inverse correlation, we could pull back again, right? So sometimes the fake outs happen, or it stops like right here, $1.85 or somewhere, or $2, right? And then it kind of folds over. So, that's why we have no FOMO is if you miss something, there's always another trade, some other point down the line, right? Like a week from now or a month from now, right? Even if somebody, let's say, missed the September 7th trade, right? This is why I always tell people try to have no FOMO, right? If you missed the September 7th, you missed this whole 1 or 2 weeks, there was like an ICX play like today or an OMG play like today, if you're really tracking crypto, right? So even for myself, every day when I'm on the charts, I have to make a decision. What am I going to do today based upon the information that I see and I know in front of me? So, or that I can think about. So if I miss this move, sometimes 70%, right? And it's not at some relative support level where it looks really, really good to buy. right? It did have the 618 bounce, for example, but maybe on ICX I might pass, right? Because I'm like, okay, I'm not going to chase this thing. It's already up 15, 18%. No need to chase it, right? Someone might think like that, or aggressive trader might think, oh, it's uptrending. Now's my chance, right? So it just depends on who you are as a trader. But in all scenarios, it's about risk management. It's about risk management. All right. So we talked about a lot today. Okay. Just quick, like couple minute recap, and then we'll close it out for today. Because the requests seem like they're done. So again, if you came into the stream like recently in the past like 20 minutes, okay, we reviewed stock market, USA stock market, like S&P 500, and then we did Bitcoin, and then we did a bunch of altcoins. Okay. So if you need the fundamental reasons why we're coming down in the news, it's all over Bloomberg, CNBC. You're probably on every business channel right now, stocks channel, talking about that right now. The question is on S&P 500 and Bitcoin is, where are we going to set the exact bottom? I'm talking about, where's the bottom of this move going to be? And will it V-shape recovery, right? Will it V-shape like that? Or are we going to actually trend change like that? Or is it just going to be a V? Right? For Bitcoin too, is it just going to be a flash crash down, consolidate, or is it going to be a V, right? It just depends. So we really going to watch out for that. All right, just visually, NASDAQ, okay, pulled down and then had the hammer. Dow Jones has already been in a downtrend. It's more of a doji on the Dow Jones. Russell 2000, bearish engulfing pattern. Okay. So with stocks, we've seen that it just rallies back, right? As soon as we hit the bottom, just boom, up, boom, boom. It happened 4 times. So that could happen. I wouldn't be surprised if it does. But on Bitcoin, whenever we have a big flush down, it usually consolidates a little bit, unless the only time it like really went up was Dogecoin, right, in May. Right here is just down and then straight up. But then it's still consolidated for a day and went down, then up, which is basically consolidation, right? It's not like we went like this. That didn't happen. So Bitcoin too is, you always have like a day or two of consolidation right here. We went to the upside. So just one red candle is kind of not enough information for an investor. All right. So everybody, thanks so much for watching and joining. We'll watch our support levels and our resistance levels on the inside day, intraday. And okay, US 30. No FOMO, right? No FOMO. That's like why I made this chat and channel group, is because we just really never want to be the person who buys the exact top. You know what I'm saying? Like we never want to. I'm sorry if this happened to somebody, but if somebody bought at 65,000, you just never want to be that guy, right? Because now and if you're holding till now, you're just massive pain in your account. So, if you miss a trade, it's fine. For me, if I miss a day trade on a crypto, I'm like, it's fine. Just move on. It's fine, right? It's about longevity. All right, so US 30, this is the last one. This is our last request for today. Hopefully this is the right chart. You're talking about the bonds, right? The treasury bonds? US 30-year government bonds. Pretty sure that's what you're talking about. So again, bonds. All right. This is a CFD. Hold on. Is there a better one? So it helps if you type the exact chart you want me to exactly look at. Let's do this one, the Awanda one, the US 30 USD, because you actually get a number on it. All right, so we have resistance up here at 35,500, right? And then our support zone, CFD. All right. Slightly different chart and analysis, right? I'm just going to call the whole number on the side, okay? So we had resistance at 112, and then it actually pulled back down in August for whatever reason, fundamental reason, right? And then you found support at the 100, okay? So if you Fibonacci this, you hit that 50% retrace and bounce back up to the 382 Fibonacci. So just this is a double top, by the way. So there's a clear signal and a resistance, two points up here that this is probably going to come down. And you lost the trend line too, just like Bitcoin. Yeah, it's like a flash crash. Right, boom, lower low, lower high. So it's trying to seek out its lower high right now in this zone, right here in the 105, 106 zone, right? If it's really, really powerful move, it could bounce up to 236, 106, right? So that's a bull target up there. Bear target is 99 down here. All right, and we zoom in as well. And keep in mind the US 30 Treasury bonds, right? That's very, very fundamental based. So it's not just, you can't just take only the chart, right? We have to keep in mind, we have an FOMC meeting in 1 or 2 days. So that's going to have some effect on this, right? Inflation, the tapering news. Okay, so we were in that 1 hour downtrend. We'll start here. Okay, 1 hour downtrending and then 1 hour uptrend. Okay. Zoom into the 15 minutes. This is all the data I could fit on the chart. Yeah, when you have a gap down essentially like that, okay, this whole gap down is a resistance zone. So we should draw. It's already in the resistance zone right now. That's why it's having some trouble right now, this gap resistance. If we really, really look at it though, 15 minutes, there is this lower trend line right here. And then there is this kind of like it's almost a channel, not quite. Right, so there's kind of 3 trend lines in there right now. So what needs to happen is this needs to keep uptrending, break out through the trend line up here, test it, back test that support, and try to hit this 104 target before attempting to go to 106. But this kind of looks interesting, right? In terms of it is making higher highs and higher lows since September 7th. But right here's the question. If it's going to maintain this uptrend, this needs to break above to 105, 106. At least 105. Because 104 is the resistance right now. 103, and a couple of these, right? And a couple numbers above that is just the resistance. So it really needs to break 104. That's the big number. If it does it, okay, it could pull back even halfway here to 102. You could see that. Maybe even like right here, 102.10. It's about 10. And then maybe break out. So there's 2 scenarios for you. Is if it's going to go bull, it has to do that. If it's going to break down bear, it might pull back eventually. Again, this is dependent on like FOMC, USA government announcements and legislation, the bills and the changes, whatnot. So those are the 2 levels I would recommend playing off of. The good thing is it's not in like a downtrend like that. You know what I mean? It's still medium uptrend. All right, so hopefully that helps everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Always remember no FOMO and no fear in these markets. We just did some basic preparation for stocks and crypto, so we have a better idea. Even if we go down or even if we go up, we have some sense of what might happen. So we can kind of just like relax a little bit in terms of the stress levels. We could just kind of let go of, that part of the psychology part of it. And we'll just see what happens in the next 4 days. Global markets are definitely interconnected. And I hope everybody has, a good work week and a happy trading week, solid, disciplined trading week. And I'll see you in the next stream. Thank you so much and hope you have a good day. Bye-bye.